Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Good morning, good morning. If everybody could please be seated.
That's good, but I'm not ready to be a rock star.
April, Joyce, Patty, we're ready to begin. Valerie? Good morning. Gabrielle, are you joining us?
We need Amanda.
Oh, you need Amanda? Okay.
Be right back.
Okay, we had a small problem in the parking lot. Amanda was accosted as she was dropped off early for church and by somebody in the parking lot. And so the police have been called and it's been handled. But they still want her version of what happened. Yeah. So that's what's going on out there. If any of you were wondering, that usually church doesn't start quite like that, you know. It's a different thing.
That doesn't happen often?
No. Well, there are some very unusual people that hang out there. And
The jogger came by and helped Amanda.
yeah, and then fella in the blue shirt was a jogger, and she said, "Help me," and he stopped and yelled at the guy and brought her up here. So things are moving like they should be. And so how was the drive over, Patty?
Oh, it was good. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. We've still got people hanging out in different rooms. This is a very interesting morning. Merry Christmas, and you should all have received a program and a Christmas card or a holiday card or whatever it is when you came in. I'm very much in touch with all of the holidays that are going on, and so for those of you who celebrate solstice, I want to wish you a very happy solstice. And for those of you who do Hanukkah, I'd like to honor that. And we have so many different holidays going on. One of them is honoring Zoroaster, and we have Kwanzaa starting tomorrow. So when you think of people saying, I don't want to say happy holidays, it's Merry Christmas, you can think about that from your own heart. And if you really believe that the only reason we celebrate this holiday is for Jesus Christ, then you have to stop and realize that this holiday time has been celebrated since the Druids. I mean, the fact that it's the shortest day of the year, it's winter, has started on the 21st, and it's a solstice. So many religions are celebrating this time of year. So that's why happy holiday seems to be appropriate. But it's in your heart. It's what you feel and how you want to honor it and how you want to celebrate, okay? Our wonderful druid that I want to do our prayer is in the parking lot right now. And so, yes, April, you want to come do the prayer? And then April is of the goddess belief and follows the walking of the goddess. Here you go.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What a gift to have a place to join together in community to be here today.
Would you like some music behind your prayer?
Sure.
Okay, Tim, here we go.
Tim, please. So I begin my prayers acknowledging the omnipotence of the divine. So I say divine essence, for it is in everything. Divine essence, we are so grateful for this time of the year to recognize endings and beginnings, honoring the respite and rejuvenation of the time of the dark, and being in that place of hopefulness for the light returning. We welcome the message from Gaia, showing us to be introspective, quiet, and still, in great faith and trust that in time and with our patience, the light will return, the earth will awaken, and new growth will appear to sustain us for the next year. We acknowledge for many, this can be very, very hard. A time of fear and concern. Will the light return? But we know if we stay in that place of trust and hope, that it is so. So hold us, dear essence, dear divinity, dear great love. Hold us as we sit in the stillness and rejuvenate and find the wisdom of the darkness. For this time gives us a chance to look and consider what is unseen to us at other times of the year. So with deep gratitude and deep love for the wisdom and understanding that we hold, that we are not alone, that we are held, and we are supported now and in the days ahead. Blessed be. This is also a meditation. This is a meditation too. Could be. So in this time, listen to the beautiful music of Reverend Tim and just be in that stillness for a moment or two. Breathe deep and see if there's any new points of view you gain from being quiet and still in this time of darkness. As it feels comfortable, bring yourself back to the room, knowing the light will return.
Thank you so much, April. For those of you, if this is the first time here, we are the Center for Creative Living, and we're a spiritualist church. And we believe that whatever path you're on, whatever journey you're taking, we're supportive of who you are and what you're doing, as long as it follows the heart, as long as it follows that place that says, I am a child of the universe. I am a child of Mother, Father, God. And you're looking forward to what's coming in this new year. Because you know that when you start believing that things are going to get better, things do. Each one of you is a wonderful, wonderful tool to help change the world. And people say, no, not me, I don't count. I once wrote a book called Michael the Raindrop, and he stopped the drought in San Jose. None of the other raindrops wanted to fall because nobody appreciated them. The raindrops were sitting in big black clouds over San Jose, saying, I'm not going to go. They scoff at us, they run away, the children scream and flee. Nobody likes the rain. And Michael says, I do. Because I know when I fall down, the trees are going to be blossoming in the spring. The grass is going to grow. The rivers are going to flow. And the oceans are going to accept me with love and let me return back up here. It's a universal cycle of life. And with that, Michael jumped out of the cloud and he went, yippee! And then Joshua followed him. And then Mary and Patricia and Carol and John. And all of these little raindrops kept dropping. And sure enough, there became a creek, and then there became a river. And all the people in San Jose smiled. And so Michael the Raindrop, when I was writing it, was one of those things where you go, yes, that's the way we are. Each one of you is like a drop of rain. Each one of you is a part of God, however you refer to God. So know that, don't sit and say, I can't do anything. Remember what would have happened if Michael hadn't decided to jump. So that's just a little thought of it, the rain that's coming. Instead of shaking your fist at it or screaming, oh no, I'm going to get my hair wet, say, yeah, we need Michael and all the other drops, okay? Anybody's birthday this week? Anybody? We've been in through this time of very few birthdays happening. So we want you to realize that this is the birth of many, many energies of all around the world. This is the birth of Jesus. Yes, Joyce.
Excuse me. It was my father's birthday today.
Oh.
Well, you know the guy Joseph Levi Thomas Brown?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So I just wanted to toss that out.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And following that, I called Clyde Chesney. His birthday was yesterday, and Clyde has been a background of this church for many, many years. And I said, Clyde, I want to wish you a happy birthday. And he said, you'll see me at church. And then about 2 hours later, he called me. He says, I'm just too tired. And I hope you don't mind. And I said, well, I'm going to tell everybody at church that you wanted to be here, okay? And, he's going through a difficult time. Yay, Clyde. Yeah. And so for all of you, please celebrate your birthday. Please, this is the only day that's just yours. So I don't care what it is. And remembering your father and mother's birthdays, and remembering your brother and sister's birthdays, it doesn't take more than maybe 30 seconds to call somebody and say happy birthday. Okay, so just think of that, being able to do that. You missed a beautiful meditation, and that's fine, because what happens is Dr. Eileen edits our tape of what we are doing on church, and then she can edit her and see what was happening. And so
I always get to see it twice.
You always get it, well, this time it's once, okay? And because our wonderful Reverend April did the opening and meditation accompanied by Tim. And Amanda, I don't know if you get a chance to look at the video.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you'll be able to catch it that way. And Amanda, I know we all feel for you, everybody in this room. And for you not to have a safe place to go is terrifying to me, because you are one of the strong supporters of our church. You're becoming a minister, and we all want to support us. We all want to support you in any way we can. And please know that after service, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask that everybody come up and just hold your hand so you know that you are being supported, okay? And as I mentioned, Amanda was accosted in the parking lot by somebody we don't know that was either on drugs or a little bit off. We're not sure what he was, but that's his journey. Our journey here is to support those that we love and hold dear, and that's Amanda McClure, okay? Does anybody have anything they'd like to share about Christmas before I go on? How many of you enjoyed Christmas as a child? How many of you enjoy Christmas as an adult? Yeah, what happened?
I'll share something.
Yes, Lisa.
Come
Come on up to the mic, because then you get recorded for posterity.
I recorded for posterity.
Yeah. And Lisa travels around the world more than anybody I know, so I'm excited to hear what she's going to say.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, I've always wanted to go to the Christmas markets in Germany and Austria and haven't made it yet.
Oh, yeah.
But I've heard they're amazing.
Yeah, they are.
I'd love to hear about that. My memory of Christmas was very much connected to my father's tradition, which was Polish. He grew up in Poland, start in 1932, he was born. So he got to see what Poland was like before World War II, which was significant because it retained a lot of its traditions prior to the German occupation. So I grew up, we would go out to the forest and we'd find fir boughs. We often would find a tree in the forest and cut it down, even here. And then we made a star out of cardboard with foil. And every year we would use the star on the tree and we would make, they're called ujime, I think. They're porcupine, they're called porcupines. And they're just crepe paper that you cut a circle and then you cut like pie wedges in, and then you use a pencil and make tips. And you sew about 10 of those sheets together. And it's this ball of pokey things out of paper. So it's sort of like origami in a way. And that's a very traditional Polish ornament. And then we would string cranberries and we would make paper ornaments and things. But for me, it was such a warm experience. And music was a big part of our, just what we all, as much as we could. So my dad and I would go to the Messiah Sing, which used to be at the Flint Center. And we would sing the Messiah. And I learned it as a young kid because I went every year. Now I go and I don't need music. I sing it because I know the whole thing pretty much. And it was just a really warm time. You know, we had a fireplace. We'd play chess in front of the fireplace. We'd look at, and it was very simple. It was all, small things. So I still do that today. I still go to the forest and I still get boughs, and this year I decorated with the boughs, and my boyfriend found some really neat old-fashioned ornaments in San Francisco that were literally on the sidewalk in a Ziploc bag. And it was like, okay, I guess somebody was giving them away. So we now have like the clothespin reindeer on our tree and the little wooden figurines and a lot of wooden things. And it just, for me, it's just a really warm time of year. And I love the lights and just the whole idea of kind of finding beauty in, and for me, the darkness is really beautiful. So I love going outside at night and just looking at the stars and seeing the constellations and feeling the cold air. And I for me, that's very invigorating and very renewing. And then I like to do lots of music this time of year, so I go to lots of choral performances. But yeah, I just wanted to share that I love all those things about this time of year.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else like to share? Okay.
I'll do a panel.
Okay, Bryce, come on up.
Why not? I got a story.
You got a story.
I got lots of stories, but
No,
but I just got a small story for Christmas.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Christmas for me has usually been a downer time. Have to say it. Never really was great. I came from a Jewish family supposedly,
My father, though, his father was a communist, socialist, Soviet guy, didn't believe in that kind of stuff. Didn't believe in Hanukkah even. Then my mother, she was trying to be kind of Jewish in Hanukkah and everything else, but unfortunately me and my sister were never really into the religion part, and then that kind of faded away. So then when I went to college, and I was really usually stuck there over Christmas most of the years I was in college, and then the rest of my life didn't really have anybody to go spend Christmas with. So Christmases really don't mean much to me. However, sometimes, like today, there'd be times when I'd actually be able to share it with other people. So that makes it kind of nice today.
Good, yay.
And that's really the spirit of it, is to share with other people when you can. You won't always be able to share things with other people, but some days you can. And today's one of those days.
We don't have children, we have dogs, and we gave our dogs presents.
That too.
Thank you, Royce.
I have children and I'm not with them.
That's your
That's
gift.
either good or bad. That's either good or
It's good for me.
Well, I want to share a story, and this was a long time ago. It was in December 24th, 1963. And during that time, I had 2 young children. My son was just a year old, my baby, and the other one was 2.5. And as usual, we had a big family thing. So we had the Christmas tree, we had the music, everybody was sitting around. It was nice and warm and comfy. And I was living in Lancaster, California at the time, and it's bitterly cold on the desert in the winter. And there was a very timid little knock on the front door. And somebody said, maybe it's Elijah. Who's knocking on Christmas Eve? And I went to the door, and there was a man, and he was standing there with his wife. His wife was wearing a backpack, and he was holding hands with a little boy that looked like he might be about 3. And he said, do you have a room? I managed apartments. My apartments were the only integrated apartments in Lancaster. I was managing at that time for the Federal Housing Administration. And I said, no. What are you looking for? He said, it needs to be furnished, and it needs to be for maybe a month and a half. And I said, I really don't have anything like that. And he said, well, we really need to find a place to stay. We've looked all day and nobody will rent to us. And at that point in time, the wife, the woman, turned and patted her husband's arm. And as she did, her back turned to me, and it was a baby in a wonderful, wonderful contraption that the Native Americans call, and I just forgot the name. Do you know? Anybody happen to know what that's called? Papoose. Papoose. It's all, yeah. And this little one had wide eyes, was looking at me, probably about 6 months old. And he said, we really need a place. Our 2-year-old daughter is in the hospital, in the Antelope Valley Hospital. We're from Tehachapi, from the reservation. And our baby has hydrocephalus. And they're not too sure how long she's going to live. And the whole place, all of the hilarity, all of the joy of Christmas, everybody just said, and he said, are you sure you can't help us? I said, let me show you. I've got an empty apartment, but we don't, do you have any furniture? He said, no, I have nothing but what I've got that I'm carrying. And so I looked at my friends and family and I said, we've got furniture and storage. And they said, okay, because tenants, when they leave, would leave things. Maybe a bed, maybe a couch, maybe, And one lady said, hey, I know where I can get a lot of diapers and all of those kinds of things because I belong to a group. Would you want me to go get them? And somebody said, it's Christmas Eve. And she said, they'll do it for me. I said, okay. And so I said, well, let's go to storage. And he looked at me and he said, what's happening? And I said, we're making you an apartment. And so everybody ran home, and a lot of them were neighbors who had units right there. And we got all the silverware, we got everything you would need to put in an apartment. And as they're running around, I said to the woman, come in and have a hot drink. And the man, would you like something to drink? And he said, oh, a cup of coffee would be great. And the 3-year-old jumped down and started playing with my boys underneath the tree with the toys and all that. And as we were there watching it, I couldn't believe this miracle of people coming together to support somebody. And finally, when we got it all completed, the man handed me a check. And it was signed by the tribal elder. It was for $1,000. Which is a lot of money at that time. And he said, this is for as long as we have here. Is that enough? And I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you keep the check? And he looked at me and he said, how come you're being so nice to me? And I said, because in this household, everybody is a part of our family, and you're a part of our family. And so my stepdad, Daniel Ostraga, was Jewish. And he as I have mentioned, I have every religion just about in my family. And so he said, you know, this is a wonderful Christmas. I've never had a Christmas Eve where everybody got together to find a place for somebody to stay. And I said, wasn't that the first Christmas? And he looked at me and he said, he lit up a cigar. He handed the father a cigar. And this is Mr. Valenda. And he said, here, Mr. Valenda, would you like a cigar? And the guy said, yes, that's part of our tradition. I love it. We're going to share some tobacco here. And the wife said, really? Can I have one too? She acted like this is what you always do on Christmas Eve, to smoke cigars. And then my stepdad said, and how about this? And he poured a jigger of whiskey. And the guy said, I don't know whether I should do that, but I think it's time to celebrate. And so he did. And then my stepdad said, now that's what I call a Christmas celebration. I feel just like one of the wise men. And you know, when you think of that, the miracle that they found the only apartment house complex that we would rent for them, and that all these people were there to help. It certainly was a miracle. And for me, having the coldness of the night and the bitterness of the people was much like what Mary and Joseph must have encountered. And we forget that we're just like the people that were there in Bethlehem. What were they doing when all of this was going on? Pretty much like the people in Lancaster. These were people they didn't know. They had different colored skin. So they were either traitors or were no good. And I want you to think of that. This Linda family, they stayed until March 21st. And the reason I remember the date is because my wedding anniversary is March 22nd. And I was getting ready and we were going to have a celebration. And he came in and said, we have to leave now. Our daughter died. And I looked at him and I thought, this is horrible. And he said, don't feel sorry. She was in constant pain. And now that she's gone, there's no more pain. So the story started with a miracle and ended up with a release for everybody of knowing that this man and his family were ready to let her go. And I love that because it was not only my wedding anniversary, but it was an anniversary of this little girl who left. For those of you who don't know where I grew up in Lancaster, California, we have one of the very few what they call Indian Museum, where you can go and follow the trace of all of the people in that basin, the Mojave Desert Basin, and see what they were like. For me, growing up, we have what they call the buttes, and this is where many of the tribes would go and do honoring and doing different prayers. And I'd go up there and I would find arrowheads, and I would find bits of things, and then I would take them to the museum and they would put them in the museum. So we've got a lot of things that I had found. It was a unique place. It was a very special place, and it still is, enough that they've honored the Native Americans by a museum. And now the park, it's now a California State Park. So if you ever happen to make it to Lancaster, I don't know why, but you can go to the Indian Museum. Every one of you, I'm sure, has a story. That's why I had asked for stories. Because this is a time of year where sometimes you remember what you really wanted Santa to bring you, or parents to bring you, and it didn't happen. And how disappointed you were. And some of you, it's just the opposite. The one thing you wanted, you got under the tree. For some of you, you felt that your family couldn't afford anything. And one of my stories about my life was when I was 6 years old, I got 2 couch loads of presents. My husband used to tease me and say, "You're the only one I know that counted your presents by couches." Yes. You know, and I was one of the most spoiled kids you ever want to see. And if it hadn't been for me getting in touch with my spirit guide, Ma, who knows what it would have happened to me? Because he kept telling me, no, this is not the way you live your life. One of the other things that I want to remind you of is each one of you is in touch with the divine. You might not think you have a spiritual energy, or you might not think that your ancestors can talk to you, but they can. Just to remind yourself for this year to be open and to listen. Because all of these stories that are talked about an angel on your shoulder, they talk about who you are as a being and that you're not alone. Try it. Just don't say that's crazy. Get into a meditative state and then ask for help. I'm sure that you're going to be amazed if what happens. Okay? And now I'm going to amaze our wonderful Reverend Dr. Eileen, like I do every Sunday. Because April said the opening prayer. And if you would do a prayer coming from the origins of so many things, the Christmas tree, so many things that your faith brings with it, and because Dr. Eileen is a Druid. Yeah. And you know, if you want to applaud for it, certainly okay. Welcome, Dr. Eileen. Okay. And I'm going to sit down, and the mic is yours, okay?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And it is, an amazing time of the year because, in the Druidic tradition, this is the time for introspection. It is the time to realize that everything that you went through in the year, even more so the things that went wrong than the things that went right, were there to serve you. And it isn't about holding on to what that experience made you feel, but to embrace how that experience helped you grow. What did you learn from it? Considering the worst mistakes, whatever you think of as the worst mistakes you made this year, you are wiser because of it. And in the old traditions, people got together and, there was no electricity, there was nothing, and you were just together for months in an enclosed space. And so in the Druidic tradition, before you entered the space, you settled any issues you had, because it was considered important to bring nothing but the wisdom and the sense of community and the sense of cooperation. So if an issue came up, you stood out in the snow and you dealt with it because nobody else wanted to deal with it. which was, I would guess, was very encouraging. It was a huge motivator for those who wanted to get things settled because they didn't want to stand outside. It is a time to realize that that quietness and that stillness inside of you, that is not weakness. It is not a place of fear. It's a place of realizing that we are so much more, that truly what we planted was what we reaped, and that a part of that is understanding we are community, that we survive together, that any one of us can be a hero. Any one of us can prove that not all heroes wear capes and not all angels have visible wings, and that every person is our brother and sister, and however that falls, that we matter to one another, and that we are connected not just to one another, but to the entire universe around us. Every leaf on every tree, every drop of rain, every ounce of soil is a part of you and you're a part of it. And that it is ultimately about finding balance. It doesn't mean always being positive. It doesn't mean always telling yourself that, well, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine, because maybe it's not. I have a saying that life is fun until it isn't, and it sucks until it doesn't. And no matter how fun it is, at some point it's going to suck. And no matter how much it sucks, at some point it's going to be fun. So the trick is not attaching to either one. The trick is to letting things flow. And as you sit in the stillness of this season, it is a time to allow that stillness to remind you of the flow of your life. That always the spring will come, no matter how dark the winter is. That there will always be someone there. And that our ancestors are watching over us. That we are being guided, and to trust in that guidance. Because being human can really be a tricky thing sometimes. And while there are many who just, it's like, well, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. It's not my problem. But yet it is. Because at any given point, any of us could be the one having the problem. And we would like to believe that someone else would say, hey, this is my problem. This does matter to me. You are the only you in all of the universe. You're the only you that has ever been, and the only you that will ever be. And what that does is it makes you special, it makes you sacred, and most of all, it makes you necessary. Because without you, the only you, the universe would neither be the same nor complete. And no matter how much we look at the season and what we don't have, because sometimes this season can remind us of the things we don't have that we would like. I was told once that the trick to being at peace in your life is not about having what you want, but wanting what you have. Yeah. And each one of us is blessed because we give gifts and receive gifts that we don't even think about, that we don't even realize. When you find a parking space, that's a gift. When you get that windfall that comes out of nowhere, just when you need it most, that's a gift. When that person calls you just when you need someone to talk to most, and they say, hey, I was just thinking about you, are you okay? That's a gift. When we're the one who makes that call, that's a gift. When we stand up for a stranger, that is a gift. And when we're in trouble and someone steps up out of nowhere and says, hey, I'm here for you. I got your back. That is a gift. And the wonderful thing is when we can be able to give a gift, we are receiving. Amanda, I am so happy that you are safe. I am so proud of you because you never lost choice. You spoke out. You called out for help. And yet you stayed strong. And I am so very, very proud of you for that. Yes, Amanda?
Can I say something really quick?
Okay. And to our new friend, Eric.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman back here, and I in some ways I don't mean to call him out, but I totally mean to call you out. Eric, you are an angel. You were chosen. There could have been a lot of different places that you were. Yes. There's 1,000 different places in a different moment that you could have been, but you were there to take care of someone we love. You were there to make a difference. You were there because you were meant to, because not all heroes wear capes. And I do hope the Packers win for you. But thank you. You protected something tremendously precious to us, which makes you tremendously precious to us. You are, from this moment, a part of this community, and we are here for you. We have got your back. And as the kids say, as the young folks say, you are Pog, and you are GOAT, which means greatest of all time. And Amanda would like to share something.
Okay, so you guys, as you guys know, what happened to me. But here's the thing though. And I'm not afraid, I'm not ashamed to tell anyone this because I will. 20 years ago, I was raped by a stranger. I was 20 and didn't know any better. What I am grateful for is 20 years ago, I didn't know any better. Yes, this guy did assault me today, but you know what? I have to say that I was lucky today than I was 20 years ago, because 20 years ago, I was really traumatized, and I wasn't lucky because the guy that assaulted me 20 years ago, he grabbed me and he choked me when I screamed, and he raped me. With this guy today, I'm lucky he just felt me up. He could have done worse, but I'm lucky he just felt me up. But what I learned today is that, yes, this guy did do something to me, and yeah, I'm going to be careful, but what I'm going to do, I'm not going to let him take my power, anyone for that matter, and I am not going to let him stop me from living my everyday life. I'm going to go out like I usually do, and I'm going to be strong, and I'm not going to look over my shoulder, because that's what people like that want.
And thank you for being able to yell out. Thank you for being able to yell out and get the attention of Eric. That was incredible.
And it is also important to remember, as we say thank you for Amanda being able to be protected and for a guardian to be brought there for her, I do ask for prayer for this young man, because he is damaged. There is that piece that we all carry. We all carry light and shadow. And just remembering, and Amanda, yes, one of the greatest things we can do is to not allow people to turn us into someone we're not. And for every one person who is out there hurting people, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands who don't. And being able to realize that one being's choices, whatever motivated them, we still hold compassion. They still teach, and they allow us all to grow by their example. And sometimes it's as an example, and other times it's as a warning. But being able to see the humanity in all, that is a tremendous gift that we have. It's a tremendous gift we share. And while you're at it, make sure you're seeing the humanity within yourself. Give yourself that gift. This is going to be my last Christmas here for the foreseeable future. And it struck me that this would be my last Christmas celebrating with the church for probably a very long time. I'm going to New York. And I was wondering what today would be like. I figured it'd be hugs and talking and all of that stuff. And yet it became something different. It became a reminder that no matter where we go, no matter what we do, no matter who we encounter, remember your gifts. Because as the only you in all the universe, only you can share your gift. No one else can. Others may have similar gifts, but no one can share your gift. And if you don't share it, the entire universe misses it. This is a time of giving. It's a time of receiving. It's a time of compassion, and it's a time to remember that this is not the only time of year that we do this. Year round, 365 days. This day gets a little more attention, but I think the greatest gift that I know of is the gift in knowing that the giving is infinite. Even the smallest gift is one that changes the universe. So being able to appreciate all we have and all we are, saying thank you. Each and every one of you is a gift to this universe. So make sure that you're sharing your gift, not because you have to, but because you get to. Thank you.
Well, excuse me, folks. Yeah. That's funny. It's Bob Dylan's calling me. My grandson's first name's Dylan, and why he put that Bob there, I don't know. It was kind of interesting to see Bob Dylan. This is a time that we pass a basket, and somebody would do that for us. And I'm going to, as I do, people don't know when I'm going to call on them. And Joyce, would you like to do the closing prayer today? And this is the Reverend Joyce Brown. She's here from SoCal, and so come on up and yeah, here we go. And for those who are coming in for the party, thank you so very much for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Okay.
Vertigo. Showed up again.
Oh, now, hold on. Here's the podium.
Did you all hear all of that?
No.
Oh, good.
We can whisper when we have to.
With the mic on, everything.
Yeah.
Dottie,
Yes?
should we do the sacrament of giving?
Yeah, oh, of course we can. Here we go. Giving to the ministry from which I receive my spiritual support and nurturing is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that Spirit is the prospering power enriching every area of my life. Thank you so much, April, for reminding me of that. Okay. And if you want to come forward with the baskets, and then everybody could close their eyes and put your feet flat on the floor, and we're going to have a closing prayer from a captive. Thank you so much. Thank you. There you go.
First of all, I want to say that to each and every one of you, that today is a day of blessings. And then when you have that and you hold that within you and you send it out, you don't keep it. That's the secret of a blessing. You don't keep it. So let us close today knowing that we are gathered here with purpose today. No accident, no coincidence. We are here because this is the place that we chose to be, and to be in a place of blessings that is always present when we gather together. And let us remember that as we go out about our day, that we're taking the blessing out into the world every place we go. Everyone you meet from this day on, you will share a blessing of receiving, of knowing, of sharing, and feeling compassion. And let us remember that compassion on this day is one of the greatest gifts that we have. It is not about receiving. Remember that. It is always about the sending out. And let us remember this again as we go about our lives. Every day, this day is lived because it is with us and we send it out. And may we all receive all the blessing that comes to us for the continuation of who we are, for the service we give. So it is.
Thank you so much, Joyce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, fine. And I want to really thank the Billy D. Prank Center for allowing us this space on Sunday morning. That is wonderful. Gabrielle, you're fantastic. Yay, thank you so much. And we're going to be having a celebration, and that's why we have tables up. We've been asked to stay if we would like to. If you have to hurry home to family or friends, we understand. So we want you to know that having this day special makes it unique. So do something special. If you feel like, oh, I don't have a family, I don't have time, no, take a moment today to make it special. Because it's a day that you want to remember for the rest of the year. We want to thank you so much for joining us, and we want you to know, wherever you go, you are loved. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.